Today, I'm talking about the Adidas Adizero Boston 9. .14 miles, 55 minutes, 43 seconds total running time out there today, where I had a 1 mile warm up, 2 mile cool down, and a 4 mile block of work where I had 167 beats per minute at 7 minutes, 4 seconds per mile, taking the Boston 9 out for its first run. Now, before I get into my thoughts on this shoe and how it performed today and what my thoughts are on it at this early stage, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own money. No one sent it to me, and no one's paying me to make this video or to wear the shoe, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my thoughts or footage before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. Now, with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Adizero Boston 9. Now, this is a shoe that I have been very eagerly looking forward to for a long time now. Very excited to have it in my hands because of the combination of boost with Lightstrike in the midsole. Now, Lightstrike is something that I've seen already in the Adios 5 and the SL20, and so far I've been really enjoying its inclusion in those shoes, and I was very eager to see how it would fare in the Boston 9. Last year I ran in the Boston 8, which was a really great shoe to run in, but I always found it a little bit kind of like unexciting somehow. It could handle anything that I threw at it, whether it was a daily training run, but it really loved running at those tempo and marathon effort paces, and it could always just soak up all the miles, and it just quietly performed. But it never did so in like a super exciting way. It was just like a really great, competent pair of shoes to have. Its like lack of excitingness maybe perhaps like masked or disguised how really good of a shoe it was. And I think I kind of undersold it a little bit when I talked about the Boston 8, because since then, having tried lots of other different tempo shoes and kind of marathon pace shoes, I always kind of found myself saying, this was great, but it wasn't as great as the unexciting Boston 8. This year, we've got a much more exciting shoe. Maybe it's because I know what I'm holding now. I will say first off, though, in terms of the look, in terms of the design, it looks better in person and on foot than I think that I've seen in any of the photos that have been online so far. The look of this shoe is just absolutely incredible. The color work on it, not necessarily my favorite. I'm not usually a white shoes kind of guy, but it being an Olympic year, or at least it was an Olympic year when the shoe was originally intended to be released and when the shoe was designed, it kind of gives that Olympic vibe to it with like the red, white, and blue. Now you've got their stretch mesh all over the shoe for the Boston 9, and it is a very breathable, very flexible fabric, which I really enjoy running in. And then this part here, there's a different kind of mesh that's on top of this red kind of cage looking layer, and I'm not sure functionally how much this really does. Maybe it provides a little bit of extra structural stability in terms of support, keeping your foot from sliding around. It may just be aesthetic. Whatever it is, I just think it looks amazing. It's a real surprise that I didn't really pick up in any of the images that I saw online, and when I actually opened up the box and looked at these shoes, I was just really impressed. It just looks amazing. Other nice little details that they've got going on is they've got on the slight amount of padding that's on the forefoot, which I like just this amount of padding. The tongue has different labels on it. So one side has an Adidas label, the other side has a Boston Marathon label. And then even on the aglets, on the laces, one side says Boston, the other side says Marathon. On the little seam here that's connected and that's been on a lot of the Adizero shoes, it's almost like a translucent layer of kind of tape almost, much more robust than tape. And it's got Adizero in silver lettering, which is very pretty. And we've got like the 3 faded stripes, which we started seeing a little bit towards the end of last year. Not a huge fan of that, but I like kind of like the silver on white. I kind of wish they had gone with silver on white for this area in the back here. Now the back, the heel cup area, still plenty rigid enough for me without having too much stuff to get in my way. It keeps it very lightweight. Not a lot of padding back here, just the right amount for me, in my opinion, for a shoe of this type. On the bottom, in terms of midsole and grip, you've got Continental rubber and that Boston pattern that's a little bit different than what we've seen in the Ultra Boost, but this pattern has worked out really well for me. Now let's talk about like the business end of it, where we've got the midsole with the Boost and the Lightstrike. It doesn't feel like a heavy shoe in terms of some of the stats. This comes in at 8.5 stated ounces according to the Adidas website, with an 8mm heel drop, 21 millimeters in the back, 13 millimeters in the front. Now, last year, I thought that the Boston 8 had a great balance of just enough boost to keep you cushioned, but also not too much boost that it doesn't feel like a quick and snappy shoe. And I think they've managed that same balance again here this year. Now, I think like the most exciting level of boost to have in a shoe is the Adios 5 and the Adios 4, where like when you get it real thin, like the level that they have it in that shoe, the boost takes on a really like special bounciness to it. It gets lively in a really different way than you see like in the Solar Boost or in the Ultra Boost. You lose a little bit of that kind of magic spark in this shoe because it feels like there's a little bit more boost in the midsole, but that's also a really good thing because I think that the Adios 5, my feet I don't think are tough enough to take that for an entire marathon distance. This I think I definitely could. Couple that with what's going on with the Lightstrike in here, and the Lightstrike I think is a layer of foam that makes it feel like a little bit snappier of a shoe, combined with, or maybe just coincidentally with, this torsion system that they have in here. I don't know how much rigidity this provides from a torsional aspect, like turning it like this way, but I feel like with the way that this is extending forward towards the midfoot, what you're getting here is an extra bit of rigidity when the toe hits the ground and then wants to snap back as your foot leaves the ground. And so I feel like the 2 things, if not the 3 things together, are creating like a foot strike dynamic that is both absorptive, is that the right word? Is both cushioned, but also springy in the right way. Now different carbon fiber plates and other kinds of torsion type springy systems have different, I think, kind of like timelines in terms of like when, after it's loaded, after the weight hits it, how quickly does it give that energy return or that spring back. I feel like the timing dynamics of the Lightstrike with the Boost, with the torsion plate or system works out really well in I think for the paces that I'm running at my marathon effort. And so I think that this is definitely a shoe that I can be running my next marathon in. If, you know, everything hadn't happened, I probably would be racing the Boston Marathon right about now in this shoe. And so I really am very happy with it. It wouldn't be like the most exciting shoe again to race in. I always feel like it's overlooked as like the boring safe option, but I think it would be like a very good safe option for me to race a marathon in. I've been kind of picking some different shoes lately to run in, trying out different things, seeing if my feet are tough enough for these like racing flats for the marathon distance, and I just have realized that my feet aren't that tough, so I need something a little bit more forgiving, and I think the Boston Iron is that shoe for me. So overall, I'm really looking forward to logging a lot more miles in this shoe. I think you could use it as a daily trainer, but ideally, I think it wants to run at some of your harder efforts. That's kind of what it's all designed for in terms of the amount of, or the lack of padding that's in the heel cup and right around your ankle, the slight amount of padding that's in the tongue, and the large amount of mesh and very flexible, breathable materials in the upper, combined with the way that this midsole seems to be tuned in terms of the foot strike. I think it's really gonna do best at some of those faster paces for you. Those are my thoughts on the Boston 9. Let me know in the comments if you have any other questions. I'd love to talk to you guys about it more down there. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Yo, what's going on?